stress is killing you faster than you think. Not metaphorically, literally. Every time you feel stressed, whether it's from work, relationships, finances, or just scrolling through bad news, your body launches a chemical cascade that damages your cells, breaks down your tissues, and accelerates your aging. Most people think stress is just a feeling, but inside your body, stress is a physical assault happening at the molecular level. Let me show you exactly what happens inside your body when you're stressed, and why chronic stress might be the most dangerous thing you're exposed to every single day. Let's start with what happens during a single stressful moment. You're sitting in traffic. Your boss sends an angry email. You check your bank account and panic. Whatever the trigger, your brain perceives a threat. Within milliseconds, your amygdala, your brain's fear center, activates. It sends a distress signal to your hypothalamus, which acts like a command center. Your hypothalamus immediately activates your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response. Your adrenal glands, sitting on top of your kidneys, release a flood of adrenaline into your bloodstream. Here's what adrenaline does in seconds. Your heart rate spikes, your blood pressure surges, your breathing quickens. Blood is diverted away from your digestive system and redirected to your muscles, preparing you to fight or run. Your pupils dilate to see threats better. Your liver dumps glucose into your bloodstream for immediate energy. Your blood starts to clot faster in case you get injured. This is the acute stress response. And it's not inherently bad. It's designed to save your life in emergencies. The problem is your body can't tell the difference between a lion chasing you and an email from your boss. The same system activates for both. And if that email never stops coming, if the stress never ends, your body stays in this state. That's when the real damage begins. If the stress continues beyond a few minutes, your body shifts to phase 2, cortisol release. Your hypothalamus signals your pituitary gland, which signals your adrenal glands to produce cortisol, the primary stress hormone. Cortisol is like a slower-acting, longer-lasting version of adrenaline. It keeps your body in high alert. In the short term, cortisol does important things. It mobilizes energy, suppresses non-essential functions, and keeps you alert. But cortisol is meant to spike briefly and then drop. That's the natural rhythm. Chronic stress breaks that rhythm. Your cortisol stays elevated all day, every day. And when cortisol is chronically elevated, it becomes toxic. Here's what happens. First, your blood sugar stays elevated because cortisol keeps your liver releasing glucose. But you're not running or fighting, so that glucose has nowhere to go. Your cells become resistant to insulin. Your pancreas works harder. Over time, this leads to insulin resistance, prediabetes, and type 2 diabetes. Second, cortisol tells your body to store fat, especially around your abdomen. Visceral fat, the dangerous kind that surrounds your organs. This isn't about vanity. Visceral fat is metabolically active and produces inflammatory molecules that damage your entire body. Third, cortisol suppresses your immune system. It reduces the production of white blood cells and suppresses inflammation in the short term, which sounds good, but long-term immune suppression means you get sick more often, wounds heal slower, and your body can't fight off infections or even cancer cells as effectively. Fourth, cortisol breaks down muscle tissue to provide amino acids for energy. You literally lose muscle mass when you're chronically stressed. And fifth, cortisol disrupts your sleep. It interferes with melatonin production, making it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep. And poor sleep makes stress worse, creating a vicious cycle. Now let's talk about what stress does to your gut. This is where things get really disturbing. Your gut and your brain are directly connected through the vagus nerve. When your brain is stressed, your gut feels it immediately. Stress does 3 catastrophic things to your digestive system. First, it reduces blood flow to your gut. Remember, during stress, blood is redirected to your muscles. Your digestive system gets starved of oxygen and nutrients. This damages the cells lining your intestines. These cells normally form a tight barrier that keeps food particles, toxins, and bacteria where they belong, inside your digestive tract. But when these cells are damaged and the connections between them weaken, you develop what's called leaky gut. Your intestinal barrier becomes permeable. Now, partially digested food particles, bacterial fragments, and toxins leak through your gut lining directly into your bloodstream. Your immune system sees these foreign invaders and launches an inflammatory attack. This triggers systemic inflammation throughout your entire body. Second, stress alters your gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in your intestines. Chronic stress kills off beneficial bacteria and allows harmful bacteria to overgrow. Your gut microbiome becomes imbalanced, a condition called dysbiosis. These harmful bacteria produce inflammatory compounds and neurotoxins that affect your brain. This is part of why stress makes you feel anxious and depressed. Your gut bacteria are literally producing chemicals that alter your mood. Third, stress slows down your digestion. Your stomach produces less acid. Your intestines move slower. Food sits in your system longer, fermenting and producing gas. This is why stress causes bloating, constipation, indigestion, and eventually conditions like IBS, Crohn's disease, and ulcerative colitis. Your gut is often called your second brain. When it's damaged by stress, your entire body suffers. Let's move to your heart and blood vessels. Stress is one of the biggest risk factors for heart disease, and here's why. Chronic stress keeps your blood pressure elevated. Your heart is constantly working harder than it should, pumping against increased resistance. Over time, this damages your blood vessels. The constant high pressure causes tiny tears in your arterial walls. Your body tries to repair these tears by depositing cholesterol and plaque. But this makes your arteries stiffer and narrower, a condition called atherosclerosis. Now, blood flow is restricted. Your heart has to work even harder. And those plaques can rupture, causing blood clots that lead to heart attacks and strokes. Stress also increases inflammation in your blood vessels. Inflammatory molecules damage the endothelium, the inner lining of your arteries, making them more prone to plaque buildup. And here's something most people don't realize. Stress makes your blood more likely to clot. Remember, that's part of the acute stress response, your body preparing for injury. But when you're chronically stressed, your blood stays in this hypercoagulable state. You're at constant risk of dangerous clots forming. Studies show that people with high chronic stress have a 27% higher risk of heart disease and a 40% higher risk of stroke. Stress is literally breaking your cardiovascular system. Now let's talk about your immune system. Short-term stress actually boosts certain immune functions, your body preparing to fight infection if you get injured. But chronic stress does the opposite. It systematically dismantles your immune defenses. Cortisol suppresses the production and activity of white blood cells, your body's primary defense against pathogens. Your T cells, B cells, and natural killer cells all become less effective. This means you get sick more often. Colds, flu, infections, they hit you harder and last longer. Wounds heal slower because your immune cells aren't responding properly to repair signals. And here's the really scary part. Your immune system is also responsible for identifying and destroying cancer cells. Every day, a few of your cells mutate in ways that could become cancerous. Your immune system normally catches and eliminates these cells before they can multiply. But when your immune system is suppressed by chronic stress, some of these abnormal cells slip through. They multiply unchecked. Multiple studies have linked chronic stress to increased cancer risk. Stress doesn't directly cause cancer, but it creates an environment where cancer can develop and spread more easily. Your immune system is also responsible for controlling inflammation. When it's dysfunctional, you develop chronic low-grade inflammation throughout your body. This inflammation damages your tissues, accelerates aging, and contributes to almost every chronic disease: heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, autoimmune conditions. Chronic stress essentially ages your immune system prematurely. You become immunologically older than your biological age. Let's talk about what stress does to your brain. This is where the damage becomes deeply personal. Chronic stress physically changes your brain structure. First, your hippocampus, the brain region responsible for memory and learning, actually shrinks. Elevated cortisol is toxic to hippocampal neurons. They atrophy and die. This is why chronically stressed people have memory problems, difficulty learning new information, and brain fog. Your hippocampus is literally getting smaller. Second, your amygdala, your fear and anxiety center, grows larger and becomes hyperactive. You become more reactive to stress, more anxious, more prone to fear responses. It's a vicious cycle. Stress enlarges your amygdala, which makes you more sensitive to stress, which enlarges it further. Third, your prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making, impulse control, and rational thought, weakens. The connections between neurons decrease. Your ability to think clearly, plan ahead, and control your emotions deteriorates. This is why chronically stressed people make poor decisions, struggle with self-control, and feel emotionally dysregulated. Stress also damages the blood-brain barrier, the protective shield that keeps toxins out of your brain. When this barrier becomes leaky, inflammatory molecules enter your brain tissue, causing neuroinflammation. Neuroinflammation is linked to depression, anxiety, and neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And here's the neurotransmitter disruption. Chronic stress depletes serotonin, dopamine, and GABA, the neurotransmitters that make you feel calm, happy, and motivated. Meanwhile, it increases glutamate, an excitatory neurotransmitter that, in excess, is neurotoxic. Too much glutamate causes neurons to fire uncontrollably until they die, a process called excitotoxicity. This is why chronic stress leads to depression, anxiety disorders, and even cognitive decline. Your brain chemistry is fundamentally altered. Now let's talk about aging. Stress doesn't just make you feel older, it makes you biologically older. At the end of each of your chromosomes are protective caps called telomeres. Think of them like the plastic tips on shoelaces. They prevent your DNA from fraying. Every time your cells divide, your telomeres get slightly shorter. When they get too short, your cells can no longer divide. They become senescent, old, dysfunctional, and inflammatory. This is cellular aging. Here's the problem. Chronic stress accelerates telomere shortening. Studies show that people under chronic stress have significantly
shorter telomeres
than people of the same age with low stress. In some cases, the difference is equivalent to a decade of aging. Stress is literally shortening your lifespan at the genetic level. Stress also increases oxidative stress, the production of free radicals that damage your cells, proteins, and DNA. Your mitochondria, already working overtime to produce energy during stress, start producing more reactive oxygen species. These molecules attack everything: your cell membranes, your proteins, your DNA. Your body has antioxidant defenses, but chronic stress overwhelms them. Damage accumulates faster than it can be repaired. This oxidative damage contributes to every age-related disease: cancer, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, neurodegenerative diseases, and stress suppresses autophagy, your cellular cleanup system. Remember, autophagy is how your cells remove damaged components and recycle them. When autophagy is suppressed, damaged proteins and dysfunctional organelles accumulate. Your cells become cluttered with junk, functioning less efficiently. This is biological aging in real time. Stress is aging you from the inside out. Let's talk about your hormones. Stress throws your entire endocrine system into chaos. We already talked about cortisol, but stress affects many other hormones too. Your thyroid, responsible for regulating metabolism, becomes suppressed. Stress reduces the conversion of T4 to T3, the active thyroid hormone. Your metabolism slows down. You feel tired, cold, and gain weight easily. Your sex hormones, testosterone in men, estrogen and progesterone in women, plummet under chronic stress. In men, elevated cortisol suppresses testosterone production. This leads to low libido, erectile dysfunction, muscle loss, fatigue, and mood problems. In women, chronic stress disrupts the menstrual cycle. Periods become irregular or stop entirely. Fertility decreases. And the imbalance between estrogen and progesterone causes symptoms like anxiety, mood swings, and insomnia. Stress also disrupts your hunger hormones. It increases ghrelin, the hunger hormone, making you crave high-calorie comfort foods. And it decreases leptin sensitivity, so you don't feel full even after eating. This is why stress causes weight gain, particularly around the midsection. You're hungrier, you crave worse foods, and your body is primed to store fat. Your growth hormone production also decreases. Growth hormone is essential for tissue repair, muscle maintenance, and cellular regeneration. Without it, you age faster and recover slower from exercise or injury. Chronic stress basically disrupts every major hormonal system in your body. Nothing works the way it should. Here's the really insidious part about stress. It creates a self-reinforcing cycle. Stress damages your gut, which produces inflammatory molecules that stress your brain. Your stressed brain disrupts your sleep, which raises your cortisol, which damages your gut further. Stress weakens your immune system, making you sick, which stresses your body more. It disrupts your hormones, causing weight gain and low energy, which makes you more stressed. Every system in your body is connected. When one breaks down under stress, the others follow. But here's the important message: this isn't inevitable. Your body has incredible healing capacity. When you reduce stress, whether through meditation, exercise, sleep, social connection, or simply removing stressors from your life, your body begins to repair. Your cortisol normalizes, your gut heals, your brain regenerates, your telomeres even lengthen. Stress is damaging, but it's also reversible. The first step is understanding what's actually happening inside your body. Now you know. If you want to learn more about healing your body from stress, check out the next video on how meditation physically changes your brain structure. Your body is under attack from stress, but you have the power to stop it.